We're back. Time for another edition of the Carolina Insider. Jones and Adam here with you. It is a Tar Heel recap. We have a ton of Carolina action to get to. It's all presented by Wells Fargo. Let's start with men's basketball. Adam, it has been a busy stretch, but a positive stretch for the Tar Heels, defeating NC State on Saturday in the Smith Center, then relatively fast turnaround to a long road trip heading up to Syracuse. Got the win on the road in a tight one late on Tuesday evening. That's the most recent matchup, 72-68, the final. Pete Nance had a big game. R.J. Davis, several key plays. And just good to get a hard-fought road win, something the Heels had struggled doing so far to this point this season.
And that was a tough environment up at Syracuse. I don't know if it necessarily came through on television. That was a tough game to win. That crowd was into it and really wanted that game. Carolina made the plays down the stretch that it needed to play. Pete Nance, so effective in that little area around the free throw line against that Syracuse 2-3 zone. Pete Nance called it the infamous Syracuse zone after the game. I think that's right. But he really operated well in there and made some big plays towards the end. And Jones, I think I need an official ruling. R.J. Davis, tough little nut?
Oh, that was a tough little nut ball game. He got hit twice in the face, had a finger issue during the game as well, and really only came out there for the final couple seconds after suffering a pretty good shot above the eye that resulted in a flagrant foul. So, yeah, I think he's gained tough little nut status for sure.
And in addition to just the physical beating that he took, some good defense on Judah Mintz down the stretch when Mintz basically decided he was going to take the shots. And R.J. Davis forced a miss under a minute to play. Tar Heels got the rebound and then, of course, drew the big offensive foul that ended up basically sealing the game and also, unfortunately, ending R.J. Davis's night.
So Carolina won that one on Tuesday on the road. Before that, though, was the home victory over NC State on Saturday. A lot of things that came out of this game, but the most positive, well, other than the win, was Armando Bacot, Adam, setting these records that we have been documenting that he has been chasing here over the last several months. He becomes Carolina's all-time leader in rebounds and double-doubles. Those are his totals after the State game. He did not have a double-double against Syracuse, but did have more rebounds, of course, but became the all-time leader in those two categories, passing Tyler Hansbrough for the rebounds, Billy Cunningham for the double-doubles, all-time Tar Heels.
And an all-time day at the Smith Center to be able to see two career records at once. It was great to have Tyler Hansbrough on hand to pass that torch to Armando Bacot. It doesn't seem like that long ago that we had a similar ceremony at the Smith Center when Phil Ford was passing the scoring torch to Tyler Hansbrough. So that's just sort of the history of Carolina basketball right there in front of you. Armando Bacot is writing his place in that history book. Still got some more records to get and hopefully some more awards to get this season as he's played really well. 19 points and 15 rebounds is what he's averaged since the game at Virginia when unfortunately he wasn't available. And as he has played well, so too have the Tar Heels played well in this stretch.
4 in a row, 10 of the last 12 for Carolina, and one of those two losses, Bacot did not play. So Carolina now heads into, Adam, a weekend in which the Tar Heels do not have a game. And just the way that it broke, it comes right at the halfway point for Carolina. Hubert Davis, after the game in the locker room yesterday, somebody told him that Carolina was already halfway through ACC play, and he just started laughing. It's crazy to think about, but already 10 games down, 10 to go. Carolina's right there in the mix at the top of the league. Some big-time games still to come here over the next few weeks, but the next one comes up Wednesday of a week from today against Pittsburgh in Chapel Hill.
I think it'll be interesting to see that game, the progress Carolina's made since the game at Pitt, where I think they felt like maybe they didn't play their best either offensively or defensively. They're right there. There's 3 teams above them in the ACC. They play all those teams over this back half. They've got a chance to do what they want to do in the ACC regular season.
All right, let's go from men's basketball to women's basketball. Also playing well. The women now 14-5 overall, 5-3 in ACC play. That's after an 0-3 start to conference play. So 5 consecutive wins. That includes victories at home against Duke and Georgia Tech last week. And Adam, one of the big reasons why, not the only reason why, but one of the big reasons why, Alyssa Usby really playing at a high level right now. In fact, she was named National Player of the Week for her efforts against Duke and Georgia Tech. She was 15 of 21 from the floor, averaging 16.5 points, 6.5 rebounds. She's very zen in this photo because of her high-quality play. So she and Carolina playing at a high level right now.
She's really intrigued by that basketball.
Yeah,
I can do wondrous things with you, basketball. But you mentioned this on the audio pod. It's just fun to watch her play. And she's playing so well right now that when you watch her, you feel like she's always in the right place on the court. She's making her teammates better, and not a coincidence that Carolina's playing better in this stretch. And now, though, they've been really good at home at Carmichael, gotten some big wins, as has been well documented here. Now they're going to have to do it on the road, heading to Pitt Thursday night and then to Clemson on Sunday. Those are not the best teams in the ACC, but you've got to be able to beat them on the road.
By the way, Usby right now, top 10 in the league in points, rebounds, blocks, and field goal percentage, top 15 in steals. So she is all over the floor helping Carolina be successful right now. All right, from women's basketball to women's tennis, the season getting going and the Tar Heels playing well. Traveled this past weekend, Adam, took on Wisconsin and Auburn, who's ranked number 15 in the country. The Tigers, no problem for Carolina in both those wins. They're now 7-0 in total, ranked number 2 in the country. And Adam, as has been the case for a while, Carolina has some dominant individuals, and they have come together nicely, at least here early in the season, to form one of the more dominant teams in the nation. Some
incredible depth on this team. You've heard about Fiona Crawley. You're learning about Reese Brantmeyer. Both of those two Tar Heels with some individual awards this week. Fiona, the player of the week. Reese Brantmeyer, the freshman of the week. Reese Brantmeyer hasn't dropped a set all year in her first year in college tennis. Fiona Crawley is 5-0 in dual matches. She's number 1 in the NCAA in singles. She's already beaten 2 ranked players. Most teams would be happy to have either one of those. Carolina has both of them, so one of them is going to play number 2. I mean, the depth on this team, somebody like Elizabeth Scotty, who's played as high as number 2, played number 5 this weekend when Carolina really throttled Auburn, a top 15 team. So Carolina women's tennis is good. They've got a chance to be a national contender, and one of those national events, Tar Heels love it, ITA National Indoors, and it kicks off this weekend with the ITA kickoff here in Chapel Hill. Maryland, Utah, Charlotte, all in town for that one.
Men's tennis also ranked in the top 20. The guys are number 18. They've had 3 matches so far, 1-2, lost an absolute heartbreaker to South Carolina, who's also ranked in the top 15. That came down to the final set of the final match. Tar Heels came up just short in that one. A younger team for the guys, but they're right there in the mix at the national level as well. They host Columbia, Harvard, and Oklahoma State in the guys' version of the ITA kickoff coming soon as well. Let's go to wrestling. The ACC dual season has begun, and Adam, what a dominant way for the Tar Heels to start. Carolina's had a little bit of an uneven season, really had a very difficult schedule leading into the ACC competition, and it appears that hard schedule helped them out. They just crushed Duke in the first ACC duel of the year.
Walloped?
I would say walloped.
I think they walloped the Blue Devils, 37-6. Carolina won that one last Friday, won the first 8 bouts, got 3 major decisions, 2 technical falls. Austin O'Connor got a pin. That's bonus points in 6 different decisions if you didn't realize that. But now it's all ACC play, so we'll see how those non-conference tough opponents pay off. Tar Heels host Virginia on Friday night at 7 o'clock at Carmichael.
Gymnastics in action as well. They hosted a tri-meet last week, defeated Yale and Wisconsin Stout, had a season-high score as a team and had some individuals stand out as well. Julia Noer won the all-around. Lolly Dekanoidze, second straight meet with a 9.975 on the bars. Tar Heels have a dual meet with George Washington coming up. That is Saturday in Carmichael. Swimming and diving going strong as well. They're going to host Duke on Friday of this week for the Senior Day action. And Adam, the divers in particular really showing out here as of late for Carolina.
And some individual awards for diving as well. ACC Diver of the Week, Tar Heels sweep it. Anton Down-Jenkins for the men, Aranza Vasquez, a former pod guest, for the women. Vasquez swept the diving events in the tri-meet with NC State and Virginia, and it's her 4th time already this year winning ACC Diver of the Week. Down-Jenkins has got the top 3-meter score in the NCAA this entire year, which also set a Carolina record.
Let's finish things up with field hockey, of course, winning the national title a couple of weeks ago and taking home a ton of individual hardware is Erin Matson. No big surprise here, named National Player of the Year. It is the 3rd time that she has won that award. Only 2nd person to do it. Other person, Karen Shelton. Circle of life, guys. 5-time All-America for Erin Matson in her decorated Tar Heel career. Thanks for being with us here on the Carolina Insider.